This year's Simracing EXPO was amazing. It was my first time there and it exceeded my expectations. It was amazing to finally meet so many people from Jardier's community, put faces to online names, and we've had a great time at EXPO and after during dinner, karting, and it was truly a blast. And I am so glad to know so many great people from the community. But besides having a great time with everyone, I also had the opportunity to test some new gear and Assetto Corsa EVO. So let's start with the latter. Everyone who was attending Simracing EXPO had the opportunity to exclusively test Assetto Corsa EVO on many rigs around the arena. So what we had available to test was 3 special events. Porsche 992 Cup Car at Imola with a very nice day to night transition, Hyundai i30N at Dam Brands Hatch that is quickly drying, and Alpine A110S at a very wet Mount Panorama that gets even wetter until it's flooded and you aquaplane off the track on the last lap. And these were very controlled scenarios with accelerated track changes, but they still gave us a glimpse of how the cars drive and behave. I personally tried the Porsche Cup and the Alpine. First impressions were very positive. On Imola, I was super happy to see that the car can finally drive over curbs like a proper race car, and it did not explode or spin like it did in ACC. And the lighting at night was super pretty, like true eye candy. AI was very forgiving, but it's okay since we have to remember it's a pre-alpha version of the game, so very early. On Mount Panorama with Alpine, I tested the alternate lines for wet track driving and it really works. Developers insisted that we will get true dynamic track conditions, so how it's going to work is basically where the car drives is where the line will be, either a dry line on a wet track or rubber line on a dry track. So we will test that when the early access comes in January. Also, the water will flow from the highest point of the track to the lowest one, and the puddles will form in correct places thanks to laser scanned tracks. But I wasn't able to test that, so as I said before, we will test that in January when early access opens. Also, it looks like ABS is working properly. When you smash the brake pedal on the end of the straight on a wet track, you get a nice movement at the rear of the car, so it's like dancing a little bit on the straight line, which is very nice. Game was nicely responsive, so no issues there. Graphically, game looks very good. Still some performance issues when you have the game on for longer, but I expect that to be fixed for January. There was an issue when Jardier was testing the game on an 8K resolution and he had some stuttering, and developers at Kunos told me that it was because the game was on for so long there was a small memory leak and they had to reset the game to fix that. But as I said, I expect that to be fully fixed for January early access release. Also, there was still some long distance popping visible. When you drove the car on the straight, you could still see trees far in the distance pop in front of you from other dimensions. But other than that, it was really nice looking and it was great. I really cannot wait for January. We will test it in our home rigs with our own proper settings. So what we will get in January so far is, from what we know, apparently we will get 20 cars and 5 trucks available for early access, so a lot of things to look forward to. There will be a career mode of some sorts, where we will be able to buy cars and customize them, change the car's colors, rims, and even put aftermarket parts on them like suspension, etc. We'll get a free roam even in early access, but not from the very start of it, a little bit later on. And we will get online playing with a proper ranking system, which is very nice compared to ACC, but because we don't have that, we have to rely on alternate websites to have that. Sim EXPO overall was great to test a lot of the gear. Unfortunately, what I've learned is if you want to test how a wheelbase feels and what kind of detail in force feedback is giving, then Sim EXPO is not the best place for it, because a lot of the bases have the force feedback cranked super high and it's difficult to enjoy it and judge the base properly. They do it to showcase the strength of the base, which I understand, but if you're looking for a certain detail in the base and you want to test it before buying, then it's a bit of a shame you cannot really see it. But despite all that, Expo is great to test the rims. You can see a lot of the wheel rims on display. Most of them are even opened, so you can feel the buttons, paddles, rotaries, whatever else. And a lot of the rims you can actually just test on the rigs because they're installed there. Same with pedals. A lot of the pedal sets are visible on display, but I think every major manufacturer that does pedals had their pedals installed on the rig. So if you really wanted to test a specific brand, you could easily do that. Besides the wheel rims and bases, there were also a lot of companies doing other kind of equipment, from touchscreens to shifters, handbrakes to motion rigs and VR sets and even moving rigs. Basically, every piece of equipment you could think of was available there to test or to at least see. The big thing I wanted to test personally was the Invicta wheel from Asetek. I was 100% sure it was going to be available to test at Expo, and I was correct. I tested it, and I have to say my first impression was very, very positive. The grips on the wheel were the best out of any wheel I've tested so far. No weird stitching on the inside that annoys my thumbs, like Fanatec or Moza had, for example. Very grippy, but not too firm. It still had a little bit of softness in it, which was very nice to hold. The display on the wheel was super sharp and smooth with nice animations. I think you will be able to disable if you don't like them in software very soon. Rotaries had a nice resistance and paddles were very nice and clicky. So it feels like finally Asetek is a true competitor in a Formula wheel market. Because the previous ones they had were okay, but this one I feel just knocks it out of the park. It's just another level. Also, Sim Expo itself was packed with people. There were so many people, even on Sunday, that I was told it was supposed to be the calmest day. Apparently it was the biggest and busiest expo so far, and because of that sometimes you just had to wait in line to get into a rig, but it was not too bad. Also, I cannot forget about the race cars available there. We had all kinds of GT3 cars, Merc AMG GT3, my favorite, lovely Aston Martin Vantage GT3, McLaren 720S, a fantastic LMP3 car from Asetek booth. But most importantly, we had the best race car in the world, Jardier's Clio Cup, from this season. I think it was the only car I could actually fit my fat ass into. I tried to get into the McLaren, but after I saw the seat, I was like, no way, I'm not trying that. Even if I fall into the seat, you would have to drag me out. And the Clio Cup sounded great when they launched it on Sunday. Almost as good as the LMP3 car that I saw people running away from when they launched it, because it was so loud. They were even giving away ear protection just for the LMP3 car, so you can only imagine how loud that was. The video I captured of it cannot do it justice. Asetek overall knocked it out of the park with their booth. Even after complaining a lot about the too strong force feedback to my friend Happy that works there, he turned it down for us a little bit on Sunday, and they even allowed us to have few community races, so it was really nice. First race I won easily, then I gave my rig to Chris Warner, who also won easily, and then I had to go again, but then I got punted without remorse. It was great, it was amazing. I was never so happy to be punted. If you're looking to go to Simracing EXPO in Dortmund next year, I can fully recommend it. It was so good, I finally ordered myself a proper base, so I have a lot of goodies to look forward to. You can test stuff, drive rigs, compete in hot lap challenges and races, you can even win some stuff. Chris Warner lost out on a Logitech direct drive wheel, but he still came out of the expo with a magnetic shifter that is worth like 200-300 euro. If you ever had any questions regarding sim equipment or how something works, this is the perfect place for it, because everyone working at the booths is more than happy to help you out and answer any questions you have, even the most basic ones. Also, the people you meet there are amazing. Everyone shares the same passion, so it's amazing to see. Even people who don't usually sim race are welcome there to go and test stuff and use the rigs. I even saw one guy drive in reverse because he did not know where the track goes. But it was still cool to see people being new to our big hobby, and it is growing massively. I never knew a weekend-long expo about sim racing can be this big. Crowds of people, literally. If you have any questions regarding AC EVO or expo in general, feel free to ask in the comments. There was way too many things I could talk about, but then the video would be like 20-30 minutes long, and I just wanted to briefly chat about my experience and what I saw. I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you all next time. Bye!